Okay, but how are other people supposed to know you're enjoying your food if you're sitting still? Because literally, if I'm actually like enjoying it, unless I'm like super burned out, you will see it because I'll be sitting there like, and I've done it my entire life. And I didn't really get made fun of, but my family did point it out a lot. And they were kind of laughing at it, but more in a thinking it's adorable and not like super weird kind of way, which I'm not sure is better. But anyways, like how are people supposed to know, you know? Hello baby queers and welcome back to my channel. It is time for Neurodivergent TikToks again, because I cannot get enough and I see too many funny ones and I save them. And then I always have too many. But either way, you know the deal. Before we continue with the memes, y'all gotta get hydrated, so grab some water or some tea or whatever else you like to drink. And then we'll continue with the TikToks. Are you hydrated? Good. Let's go.
All day long, I have been fighting the urge to sit on the ground with everything in my being. I'm in a professional setting, and professionals sit in chairs. They don't sit on the floor. But I want to be as close to the ground as possible. And I don't know why I want to do that, but the second I got into the quiet room, and I can gremlin squat, crouch, curl up into a ball. Why does it soothe something inside my nervous system just to get as small as possible? Itty bitty, down on the ground. I'm little. I'm so little. You can't even see me. Anyways, I was just thinking to myself how much any type of social situation should have to have a quiet room. But of course, when there is a quiet room, almost no one uses it. I was walking back and forth past this open door for the quiet room. Door stays open, no one inside. No one inside, no one inside. Well, I still have another 5 minutes to this break. And you bet your butt I'm gonna spend it on the floor. Good floor, love floor. I'm just a floor gremlin. Tea. Okay, bye.
I wish my office had a quiet room. Because we don't. We have like a small room for like telephone calls, but it has a glass door. So even if there was space on the floor, because it's literally like it's very small, like you would kind of have space, but there's also like a chair in there so you can sit on the chair. But everyone could see you if you're sitting on the floor. I don't know why, my office building has a lot of glass doors. It's kind of weird. But a lot of places should have quiet rooms. But then again, I think in most public places, would you actually want to sit on the floor? Like, even if you really feel like you want to sit on the floor, it's super dirty and I'm kind of grossed out by it. So I'd want to sit on the floor, but I also wouldn't want to sit on the floor. But why is it that sitting on the floor is so soothing? Because it is. It's literally just so soothing. I honestly kind of love it because that means at least if you're at home or something, you can't just sit on the floor, you know? Sometimes you gotta play this game. I should check if the website, there's a website called You Feel Like Shit. Which is kind of this. It just like throws a bunch of questions at you like, have you eaten in the last 4 hours? If not, maybe go get a snack or something. And then you can either click, no, I've eaten, or I've had a snack or something like that. And you can just like click through it. And I used to be on it a lot because I was like constantly kind of grumpy, and it's also like, did you take your medication, or are you feeling overwhelmed, or whatever it is. And it's kind of great, but sometimes you just got to play this game on your own and think through it. But yeah, most of the time though, there are certain things I'm like way too aware of. Like, I'm way too aware of my body. Like, I feel hunger and thirst like so early on. Same with when I need to pee or something. I feel it too much. And then when I feel it, it's hard to concentrate on anything else, and then I get very agitated by it. Not sure that's better, but at least I can feel it, I guess.
Being autistic, something I struggle with is acting surprised when people will turn around to me and be like, oh, Niall, sometimes you repeat the same subject over and over again. Like, I don't already know I'm doing that. I'm spending all of my time fighting the urge not to talk about it, so as soon as I think enough time's gone past, I'm going to bring it up like, the weather's nice. A bit like Pokemon Gold.
Which is why it's brilliant if you have friends who have the same interest. Because, take K-pop, for example. Like, I have a friend who's also super into K-pop, and she has the same favorite group as I do. So whenever I feel like talking about this group, or something that happened with this group, or like a new song, or whatever it is, even like an old song, I know I can always go to her, because she's always down to talk about it. And that's why it's great, because with everyone else, it kind of feels like, okay, I can't bring up K-pop again. Like, I can't be talking about this constantly. So I do have to wait. But if you have someone who's also super into this thing, then that's nice, because then you know you can always talk about it. And then it's okay if you bring it up like every day and just like send the memes about this thing every day or something. Go get a friend who has the same interest, because yeah, you can bring it up with everyone else, but neurotypicals are probably going to be annoyed by it sometimes.
Okay, so let me just get this right. I am allowed to be obsessed with them to the point of knowing every single thing about their life, and that is normal in this fandom? What about concerts, though? I don't really like loud spaces. It's not loud. They're quiet apart from fan chants? What's a fan chant? You assign them what to say and when to say it, so I know exactly when things are happening and there are rules that people follow? Okay. And I can collect all of the merchandise that I want. All of it, and none of you will think I am weird? It's a good day. It's a good day.
To be fair, people who aren't into K-pop think K-pop stans are weird. But still, they'll just write it off as, oh, just another K-pop stan, like, whatever. But yeah, it's pretty normal to be obsessed and talk about it constantly. Still, other people who aren't into K-pop will get annoyed, but you will find enough other people who are just as obsessed as you are. For the quiet part of K-pop concerts, though, there are still going to be screaming. So if that tends to be overstimulating for you, maybe just be aware that that's still going to happen, because there will be a lot of screaming. But yeah, fan chants are pretty great. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, literally, K-pop stans in general are obsessed, and I do think it's great. There is a lot of negative aspects of it, really, because then people will start fan wars of, no, but my group is so much better, instead of just being chill and letting people enjoy what they want. But oh well. We literally asked our old boss if we could record him during meetings at some point, because dude thought out loud. And then he kept throwing like ideas back and forth and like kept repeating himself, and it's just really hard to follow and really hard to like stay focused and pay attention. So we asked to record him at some point. Well, anyways, especially because meetings with this dude, like, we'd be surprised if someone went into a meeting with him and was back after like half an hour or less, we'd be surprised. Usually you'd be there for like at least 2 hours. How the fuck am I supposed to pay attention? How am I supposed to know what you're saying? Because then even if you write stuff down, it's still very hard to focus. Like, don't, just know. Just know. Meetings are hell. I do not miss them.
1, 2, 3, look away. Take a pause and look back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, look away. That's a new record. Okay, good. Supernatural, smile, nod, and look. Good.
And then you're so focused on that you're not actually paying attention to what the other person is saying. Because either you're focusing on what they're saying and looking literally everywhere but their face, or you're just not paying attention. Like, listen, you can't have both. You can't have us making appropriate eye contact, or what you deem appropriate, really, and us paying attention at the same time. I'm sorry, it doesn't work. Like, if you want us to pay attention and be engaged, you're probably just gonna have to deal with us looking like other places. And I know a lot of people seem to think it's rude, but literally, I don't care where people look when they're talking to me, as long as they're like actually replying properly and like engaged in the conversation. You know, like if I want to have a conversation with someone, I care more about that, because I guess that just makes sense.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
Am I gonna have the Muffin Man stuck in my head for the rest of the week? Are y'all gonna have the Muffin Man stuck in your head for the rest of the week? Also, yes. When is this video coming out? Is it coming out on a Saturday? Either way, you might have it stuck in your head for a while. But yeah, this, other random sounds, songs you haven't heard in like 10 years, something you heard some random person say as they were walking past you, or on the subway, or in a grocery store. Literally, whatever your brain feels like throwing at you in that moment. And you're just sitting there like, bro, I was trying to read. I was trying to chill. I was trying to do literally anything but have this blast on repeat. Thanks.
I don't know. It just seems so silly to me. I mean, everybody feels this way.
What the poor naive dingbat did not realize was that most people, in fact, did not feel that way.
Yeah, most people don't. And I feel like it's getting worse as I'm getting older. Like, I used to always hate it because I hate sweating, because when I sweat, I get itchy very easily, which makes no sense to me still, but I do. I can feel it, and then I get itchy, and then that's just so overstimulating. I hate it. Literally, I get mad at people. Like, people at my old gym sometimes, like the boss or something of the gym, sometimes used to tell me that I can't be done working out because I'm not sweating enough. And I was like, bro, that's on purpose. That's literally on purpose. I would die. I would die, literally. Joking, obviously. But still, no. No, thank you. And I feel like a lot of people don't mind so much, you know, because they can't feel it. Or if they can feel it, they can just tune it out again and focus on something else. Well, I don't know if 20 degrees is like, I think like between 10 and 25 is kind of fine. Because if it's too cold, that's annoying, because then I have to wear socks, and I hate wearing socks. And if it's too hot, I literally am just constantly sweating, and that's just disgusting.
I've decided that I am no longer having bad days. In fact, there are only good days or goblin days. Goblin days are the days that the little goblin inside of me that hides in my subconscious next to my trauma and fear shows up and demands all of my attention. But instead of having a bad day, I have a goblin day. Because a goblin's worst fear is self-care, and so I give him food and water and exercise until he slowly diminishes in size, until he's like a troll doll that I can hold in my hands and carry him like a little baby so that he stops crying at 12 a.m. when I need to be going to sleep. I'm having a goblin day.
That's actually kind of a good approach. because it's kind of stupid, but it works. Because if you focus on, oh no, I'm having a bad day, I'm having such a bad day, then that's what you're focusing on, and then you're just gonna feel worse instead of better. But if you're just like, okay, I'm having a goblin day, and I want this goblin to at least get smaller, it kind of seems more like a fantasy game quest kind of thing than like real life, and then it's like easier to deal with, and then you can kind of like start taking care of yourself better. It's so stupid, but it's probably gonna work. I love things that seem so stupid but just work. It's just brilliant, because you'd think it's not gonna make it a big difference what you call it, because at the end of the day you're still having a bad day even if you're not calling it that. But still, it still works.
I think maybe I'm not neurodivergent. And then I go in to get a coffee cup and I'm like, no, don't forget to use the ones in the back row. We don't want them to feel neglected.
The fact that not everyone does this is so intense. Like, I do this with plates as well. Like, I put the ones I just cleaned, like if I take them out of the dishwasher, I put them at the bottom of the pile, so I'll rotate through them. Same with clothes. Like, I always put the clean socks at the back of the drawer and like shove the other ones to the front, so I wear all of them. Same with t-shirts, same with everything. Do you not do this? And sometimes just wear a shirt because you like the shirt, but you haven't worn it in a while for whatever reason, so you have to wear it, because otherwise the shirt might feel bad. Isn't that just normal? Well, I feel like it is very normal for neurodivergent people. But that's one of the moments where I was just like, yeah, since not everyone do this, I might not be as neurotypical as people like to think I am. Oh well. You know, I'm really glad I can at least do this with like close friends, because like a lot of people will kind of look at you weird. My family also looks at me weird and kind of chuckles about it, but they're kind of used to it by now, so they're just like, okay, they're making weird noises again. Oh well. Like, literally, like a lot of people will probably look at you weird, but it's just like, it just makes sense in my head to kind of make random noises, you know?
Seen a ghost? I was over on the bench. I was over on the bench. I was over on the bench. I was sitting over on the bench. I was over on the bench. I made a salad with craisins. Hello, I'm Chip Mulaney. I'm your father. But sometimes he would be gay. Ever been to the goddamn zoo? I used to smoke crack. What's yesterday? Shut up, you're all gonna die. Street smarts. Boom, orange juice. That's life. Now I've thrown him off his rhythm. Give us some money! Stay down on the ground. Stay down on the ground, you motherfucker. Do my friends hate me, or do I just need to go to sleep? But why don't we just tell our relatives that I'm a 4-year-old boy? Hey, do you want me to kill that guy for you? I am now gross. And watch this! Peppa! I'm putting wires into a board filled with holes to move the voices around.
Sometimes it seems funny from the outside. Sometimes it seems funny from the inside. Sometimes it doesn't. But if you put it like this, it does. But as much as we try to make it fun and kind of joke about it, it's still kind of irritating. Like, especially if you have like a lot of insomnia, because you can't stop your thoughts from racing. It's so bad. Because being sleep deprived literally makes your sensory issues worse. It makes like your processing worse. It makes your executive function worse. Like, everything's gonna be worse if you're sleep deprived. But then you still can't fall asleep because you're so irritated and like sensory overload that you can't sleep anymore because you're just too agitated by it. It's such a scam. It's so rubbish. It's literally so rubbish. But just sensory issues, just like This sound fits so well though with ADHD because it's just like jumping from one point to the other, and to other people it doesn't seem connected at all. But you probably had a train of thought behind it that other people just don't understand. And then you try to explain it, but they just look at you like, how did you, like, that doesn't make sense. But in your head it does. That's okay. Like, listen, if it makes sense to you, that's fine.
No, silly, I don't have bad posture. I'm just standing like a question mark because I don't know why the fuck I got up this morning.
I realize this isn't neurodivergent specific, but I felt called out because I can't sit properly. I don't have great posture because standing up straight or sitting up straight is super uncomfortable. So I just don't. But with this explanation, it also makes sense. I mean, the other explanation is just I'm neurodivergent and that's why I have bad posture, but listen. Maybe I just felt like a question mark because I don't know why I got up this morning, you know? Okay, but that's because staying in contact with people is really hard. Because you, unless it's like your special interest or something, just like kind of just regularly asking them, hey, like, what's up? How's work? How are you doing? It's just boring because most people are super busy with like their normal lives of like going to work or going to school and then coming home and doing chores that it's just boring to talk about. So just sending fun TikToks to cheer them up makes a lot of sense. But in the beginning of the friendship, like everything about this person is new. So that's going to be interesting. So you might have more to talk about. That's kind of natural, I guess. But listen, if you see TikToks and just like, this person would really enjoy it and send it to them, that counts as interacting, you know?
Can't handle the uber instincts of my uber autism. Observe.
Did I get really, really grumpy last week because I was in a grocery store? It had really disgusting lights and everyone was loud. But like the light was literally blinding. I was just so grumpy afterwards because I was so overstimulated and my eyes were hurting and I just wanted to go gremlin mode on the ground. Well, anyways, literally I was done early on every exam ever. And the worst part is like multiple parts exams, like where you have like one part and then you can hand it in, but you can't get the second part before everyone else. So you just have to sit there and wait. And then you have to do the second part. And then you have to wait for the third part or something. And you're not allowed to go outside of the classroom because someone might need to pee and then you could talk, you know? I hated it so much. Like if you just have one exam and then you're finished. If you finished super early, you also weren't allowed to go outside because someone might still need to pee. Unless it's like in the last hour and you promise to go off school grounds. But listen, every time.
There are 5 signs that you might be AuDHD, which basically means that you are both autistic and ADHD. Number 1, on the outside, it probably looks like you have neither, because on the inside, the traits of these two conditions are sort of battling it out, but on the outside, it looks like neither one is happening. What does this look like in real life? Well, it can look like your need for novelty coming from the ADHD fighting with your autistic need for routine. So on the outside, it doesn't look like you need novelty or routine, but on the inside, you're craving both. Number 2, in school, you were probably one of 2 people. You were either the incredibly well-behaved kid who was trying to earn love by following every rule, or you were the really rambunctious kid who was in trouble all the time because you just couldn't control the conflicting urges going on inside your head. Number 3, you probably have a really hard time getting things done. This is probably because a combination of your executive dysfunction, which comes primarily from ADHD, and the need to do things the most efficient way, which often goes hand in hand with autism. Number 4, alcohol and other substances affect you really easily, but you still have a hard time controlling how much you take in. Autism tends to make people more sensitive to various substances, and ADHD makes it difficult to regulate how much of that substance we consume, even when we know that we're super sensitive to it. Number 5, you might be AuDHD if you've been diagnosed with just about everything else in the DSM. I'm not here to say that other diagnoses are invalid, because they totally aren't. They're very valid. But if you've been diagnosed with everything and nothing seems to fit, it might be a combination of ADHD and autism. If you don't know me, hi, my name is Megan. I am a neurodivergent life coach and content creator. I'm AuDHD myself, and if these signs helped you, let me know in the comments.
It's still wild to me that it's kind of a very recent thing that you could actually even be diagnosed with both. Because it used to be that if you have one diagnosis, you couldn't get the other because you can't have both. Well, newsflash, you can. Actually, a lot of people do. And I get why it's confusing, because from the outside, because both autism and ADHD are kind of very much assessed like from the outside of how you seem to other people a lot, really, and like very based on social activity in general. And I get that because it seems to almost cancel out so much that it does seem from the outside like neither is happening. But, well, that doesn't mean it's not real or that it can't be both. And it doesn't mean that it's not frustrating as hell if you actually have both, because I think, especially then, I mean, people don't take neurodivergent people that serious in general if they talk about their struggles, because it's just like, oh, you need to try harder, you know? But especially if you have both and they don't visibly see the struggle, then it's like even easier for them to dismiss, you know? But honestly, like, it still doesn't make sense to me that you can have both, because like, how can you crave routine so much but not be able to stick to it because it's so boring to your brain after 2 days that you can't do it anymore? It doesn't make sense. It still doesn't make sense to me. But then I looked at my life and I was like, wait a second. How can this be me but still doesn't make sense? Like, how does it... You know, it still doesn't make sense to me.
My brand of ADHD is so annoying because half of me really wants to subvert all the stereotypes and show the reality of ADHD and not just what people think it is. But then the other half of me genuinely does get distracted by squirrels. I mean, they're so cute and they've got bushy tails, and how can I not go and follow one when I see it and try to be its friend? Being an advocate is hard.
Again, having other neurodivergent friends is great, because then you can sit outside and have a conversation, and either one of you will go, oh, look, that's a bat. Was that a bat? Oh my god. And then just keep talking. Or completely forget where you were in the conversation and just start again at some point, like, just jump somewhere else. But it just works if you're both neurodivergent. Because other people are probably going to get annoyed that you're not paying attention to them anymore because you got distracted by bats because you think bats are cute. Or squirrels. Or frogs. Or a cute puppy that walks past. You know? But literally... I mean, a lot of stereotypes just exist because they are true for, like, a lot of people in a certain group. But I get wanting to kind of prove them wrong, to be like, hey, listen... Not all of us get distracted by squirrels. But to be fair, some of us do. But I think you can still very much show that ADHD is more than just like getting easily distracted because you saw a butterfly or a squirrel. I think it's still possible. It doesn't mean you don't get distracted by something you find adorable, but it's so much more than that, you know?
You can't know you don't like a food until you've tried it. Yes, I can. It's a texture thing. I know for a fact I'm not going to like that.
Yeah, sometimes you can't just tell. And then you have these super obnoxious people that literally like kind of want to take it and jam it down your throat almost. Of like, no, but you have to try it. You've never tried it before. You definitely have to try it. Literally so obnoxious. Like if someone doesn't want to, why are you trying to force them to like try something? Just why? You know, like if they want to try it, they will. But the more you tell them to try it, they're gonna want to try it even less. Like, even if they don't know exactly what the texture is gonna be like, if you try to force them to try it, they're not gonna try it anymore.
Navigating social relationships when you're neurodivergent is flipping difficult. Like, once we become friends, I will stick by you and support you until the day I die. But at the same time, if you're eating and you let the spoon hit the bowl as you scoop and it makes a noise, that will make me want to commit atrocities that violate the Geneva Convention.
I'm not saying normalize hating a friend sometimes, but the amount of rage that you will probably feel when having to deal with people is very real. And I think being aware of it is probably a good first step, because then you can just be aware that it's just a temporary thing of, okay, I cannot be around you when you're eating if you're going to be eating like that, but I still love you, you know? I know actually that that's not making it easy, but it will make it easier, I guess.
I feel like I'm sad about something. Am I sad about something? What am I sad about? Oh, I broke up with my boyfriend.
How does that even work, though? Like, literally, how does that work? Like, how can you be sad about something if you forgot how? That's what, again, it's just one of the things. I know it's real. I've done this. Not with a specific of I broke up with my boyfriend and that's what I was sad about, but this happened. And I still don't know how. It doesn't make sense to me, logically, but it can happen, apparently. I still, like, I don't like when I don't understand things, or when things don't make sense to me logically. But some things literally just don't. Oh well. Either way, I hope none of you are actually sad about something right now. And I hope that if you are sad about something, you can process that in a healthy way and not just forget about it every time. But anyways, I hope you're hydrated, and I will be back in 3 days with my next video.